YouTube. It is Sunday in SerenaLand, and today I would like to run my vlog in two ways. First and foremost, talking about what I have been doing, and then secondarily giving you guys kind of a not so brief, even though I tried to keep it brief, fill in on what's going on in my life, but without going into my life first, because that's secondary in everything in the world right now. I would like to proceed with talking about things that I have tried to implement while learning to recognize my privilege and my position in this world more and more and more every day. And I'm going to include some screenshots from my Twitter here where it says what it says. You know, call me out if I'm wrong about anything, if I'm approaching anything in the wrong way, if you gotta understand, I'm trying to operate from a perspective that I don't have in the most mindful way possible, and that's very challenging, and there's a lot of room for error there. And I have not taken the time throughout my life to be more of an advocate or be a part of the change that has been needing to occur. And I realize now, that's not right, that's wrong, that's point blank wrong, and there are so many steps I can take throughout my life for the rest of my life going forward to recognize how I can learn more, how I can understand more, how I can be more proactive, how I can be more of an advocate and an ally, because those two things are very different, but they absolutely do go hand in hand. So the first thing I did that I would like to share is I really love Hassan Minaj's The Patriot Act, and one of his most recent episodes was about the dying of newspaper and print, and I'm terribly ignorant. I mean, I've been aware of this, but it seems like in recognizing that I need to have awareness in multiple places has kind of, I'll just say it point blank, made me realize I need to have a lot more perspective in a lot of other places. First and foremost, to go backwards, I can't just doodle around and talk about how much dogs, cats, animals mean to me, and how I try to advocate for them and advocate for adoption and advocate for a better life for them, and here I am ignoring humanity. Here I am being blind to the world. Here I am allowing myself to be removed from everything going on in the world, and for me to constantly quote that little piece of the Boondock Saints of that Bible verse where the one great true evil is the indifference of good men, and I will not be a good woman if I just keep going dogs, cats, fuck people. Like, I have a lot more respect for zoo members than people, but at the same time, all lives fucking matter. Friendly reminder. So back to my original point, I was watching one of his most recent episodes of the Patriot Act that I've really been enjoying his show for, I think I discovered it a couple of months ago, so I've been backtracking and catching up, watching forward, and I really love the way he words himself. He reminds me a lot of Philip DeFranco, but in a more comedic but in your face way, but not too in your face, like just enough to extra get your attention, instead of like how I feel like other people just maybe speak mindfully and calmly, and I'm not saying one way of speaking is better than the other, but I appreciate being with those two men being the two news sources that I prefer to keep up on the most, just because I enjoy what they touch on. I appreciate what they touch on. I appreciate the content that they share, and really pique the viewer's brain about. So yeah, I was watching his episode on newspaper and print dying, and I was like, oh my god, there's all of this going on in the world, and actual printed newspapers are dying, and maybe it would be better if I had like a more local news information source, because I don't have like cable TV, so I don't have like local channels hooked up or anything like that. I don't have the antenna for it. I just do Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, YouTube. That's like it. So I subscribe to my local newspaper, which I am surprisingly happy to have been reading. Obviously, like, the news is devastating, but I never thought I would be someone who enjoys reading the newspaper, and I am someone who enjoys reading the newspaper, so I'm very grateful that I got that kind of way outside force push to do that. Right now I have yesterday and today's paper stacked up. So first I subscribed for every day of the week, depending on how much it takes me to catch up on these things and read through them. I might go with like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday or something like that, because they have different like packages for delivery. But the point is, I want to stay as informed as possible, and especially as locally informed as possible. Another thing I've been doing is when I am streaming, I am implementing 9 moments in... This is like an important thing. Can you say it proper, Serena? When I'm streaming, I am implementing 9 moments of silence, specifically stated in honor of George Floyd, because of the suffering he went through for those 8 minutes and 46 seconds, but secondarily so in solidarity and support of everyone else's names that I can't fit in a tweet. So many names that the lists just keep growing, and if I can just continue to say one person's name, and that's the best I can do, all I can do is the best I can do. I can do what I've been doing also, where I am retweeting everything I possibly can without truly flooding my timeline, not meaning taking away from my posts, because I really haven't been posting much of my own content, because, as I said in the beginning of this, the world does not revolve around me right now, in the fucking slightest. There will always be time for the world to revolve around me. That doesn't need to be now. Not that the world should ever revolve around me. The world doesn't revolve around anyone, but still, you get what I'm saying. But something else I've been doing, and you'll see that in the prior tweet included as well, is that for everything that I feel like is maybe too much to retweet at any point in time, I'm adding to my bookmarks on Twitter so that I can go back later. Like right now, my timeline is really dying down, and it's like, what the fuck? So I can go back to my bookmarks, and then every thread that I've saved, every post that I've saved, go back to there and share. And if I think it's something really pertinent, I'm going to keep it in my bookmarks and continuously share it, either daily or once in the morning and once in the evening, or every other day, like reminder, 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 reminder. I think if that's something that we can all keep doing, is just keep it, at least if it's the least you can do, to do 1 or 2 reminders on whatever social media platform you have, to be an advocate and to be an ally. I think that is one of the most amazing choices. And if you can do more than that, that's fantastic. But if the least you can do is retweet 1 or 2 things that you're like, oh my god, this is wrong, this is outrageous, I need the world to see how fucking terrible this is, because it's fucking terrible, take the step to go forward and do that. Please. 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 And feel free to send any threads or pieces of information you find pertinent, or you would like me to try to signal boost. You can DM me on Twitter, you can send them in the comments on here below, whatever, however it needs to be done. Do it, bring it on, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And speaking of that as well, I did realize, which I didn't notice before donating for anything, but anything that you donate to a change.org petition, if you donate $25, they will match or double, I don't remember the wording, but they will either match or double your donation. So if you donate $25 towards one of those petitions, they will match that, so then they get $50 towards it. So that means it will be signal boosted. I think when I did that amount, I think I did 30 or something like that, and it was like, now this petition will be shared or boosted an extra 750 times or something. So if there's at any point in time, like, where you can just share a few bucks for something, or save up for something that you really feel passionately about, and you're like, oh my god, this petition needs to fucking get through. If you can save that $25, which is, I know $25 is a lot of money. $25 can buy bare minimum groceries for one person for a week. Like, I absolutely understand that. $25 is almost half of what my cell phone bill is. $25 is probably what I spend on coffee a week, because I'm insane, not even getting carry-out coffee, just how much coffee I drink, because I drink a lot of coffee. But now I'm getting off topic with that. But if it is possible for you to do so, that is an amazing, impactful way to help that I did not realize until yesterday. So I think that's pretty fucking awesome. I'm retweeting things actively, but also saving them to my bookmarks, and particularly I'm saving to my bookmarks people of color and Black creators and artists and content creators and creative human beings. That it's, I mean, I think to create something by your own hand speaks highly of anyone as a person, and I am honestly blessed that I have this categorical compilation almost of human beings that I can shop through myself, share myself. Oh my gosh, I should show the pictures that I have, but everything is in here, from Orion glosses, let's see, and body butter. I'll share a picture. Because I took better pictures that I shared on my Designs by Serena Instagram. But that's another commitment that I'm making. I'm really not going in any good order here at all, but that's another commitment I'm making, where once a week I would like to feature a person who is very creative, that maybe doesn't get the attention they deserve. Someone whose product that I can look at and it's like, oh my god, this is amazing, like I wish I had this. Like, that's my main goal, is to seek out things where it's like, oh my god, this would be amazing for someone that I know, or someone, something that I would like, or something that I think people should be aware of, a product that exists. That's my main focus. So I'm not meaning to be picky or choosy or disinclusive in any way, but I'm trying to keep a relevancy to my brand, and I think it would be useless for other creators to and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I mean, say I don't even know, there's like a myriad of things I'm interested in. I can't think of anything right now that I'm not interested in. Okay, I'm not big on nail polish, so if there was a nail polish creator that's not true, actually. I probably would want to buy nail polish. I can't think of anything I don't like, so I guess there is no stipulation there. Nix all of that. I'll just be sharing everything. And then something else I want to do is signal boost someone else's post, whether that's a petition or a link to a thread or a piece of information from a perspective that I don't have, that I feel is pertinent to share, but it's not the right words to come from my mouth, and I want to be able to verbatimly quote someone's words. I don't ever want to use someone's words as my own, but I want to be able to, again, speak from a perspective that I don't have, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if I can do this in a better way, and please explain to me how. But I think it would be very important and pertinent for me to share something from someone else's voice and just be an ally and amplify that voice with my own platform. Not that I'm like hot shit or anything. I will say I don't know what to do with YouTube yet, except to keep talking to you guys about how we can do our best to do better. But as far as Twitch goes, I will be continuing the 9 moments of silence there when I'm back on Twitch, when I'm feeling healthy again. I will be doing that on Nude. I will be doing that where I stream explicitly. That will be in consistency for quite some time, realistically, until we see any kind of change in the world. So if you don't like it, tough ski, shit ski, and get used to it. The last thing that I'm going to really try to do to implement on Instagram is, and that's on my store site, I really want to, I have this book, boop, 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 that I've had forever until it's like super dirty. Actually, it looks pretty clean on screen, so that's not so bad. But I have bookmarked every Black or person of color creator, model, influencer, fashion designer, and granted, like, this book is a little bit older. It spans the last 150 years. When was it published? It was published in 1998, so it's pretty old. But each week I would like to do a little self-learning with Serena hashtag, and tell me if that's something that I need to correct. I was trying to come up with something catchy, and maybe that's not the best thing to be something catchy. I don't know, because all I'm doing is really, I don't know, I feel like it fits because I'm learning myself in the process too. Like, I'm teaching myself, but at the same time, I think it's, I don't know, I have a certain affinity for designers and creators and models and the history of fashion, and I think that would be something lovely to share for the time being. And when we're through with that book, there's a myriad of other books that I'm going to be going through and sharing different pieces from, and I feel like just I know I'm not shutting my mouth right now. I know I'm talking right now, but I feel like for the most part, everywhere stands for YouTube to just shut my mouth for the most part, unless I'm speaking how I feel, and otherwisedly I am best served to amplify the voices of others. Like, that is the least I can do. That is sometimes the most I can do. I'm honestly uncertain of what the best things to do are. So I, again, welcome any constructive criticism of, hey lady, do this. Hey lady, do that. Hey lady, try this. Hey lady, it would be really cool if you implemented. Hey lady, it would be really cool if you didn't say things like this. Like, anything. Tell me. There are a handful of TED Talks that I have been super into, which I will leave in the description below, but I think they are, well, some of them are TED Talks and some of them are just tiny little bits of history, but I mean, they're names of people that I barely remember being briefly mentioned in school, or not even at all. There's 2 videos on 2 different men that I'd never heard of before in my life, and there is a video of a woman, Ida B. Wells, and her I had heard of, but I really didn't know fucking jack shit about her. I don't think we just learned her name. I don't think we learned anything about her in school. So those were amazing to watch. I love learning. I love absorbing history. I am a history slut. I love absorbing history. I'm disgusted with myself that I have this whitewashed view of history where, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I enjoy, like, war films. I enjoy Vietnam War films. I enjoy, well, I guess that's really it. And World War II. But those are, like, my 2 mains of, like, yeah, I'm into this movie. But there's I think, a lot to be said. But then now I need to, like, take the token of perspective of, I know nothing about Black history. Stands for what I've learned in the past 2 weeks. I'm 26 years old. That's bullshit. I'm disgusted with myself. So I will be doing everything I can in my power to continue to educate myself. As I get different books, I will share them with you guys. I will share bits that I enjoy. I will share awesome pieces of knowledge that I think are really cool that I discover, or that are pertinent to sharing, and not sponsored, but I would like to point out, because I'm not a big fan of who owns Barnes & Nobles, even though I've loved Barnes & Nobles for years, but now I am, like, smart, and I'm like, who owns you? Where do you lean? What are you for? I don't really like what Barnes & Nobles is for. And I would like to avoid purchasing from Amazon if, possible. So, I discovered, okay, so you're gonna have to forgive me because I had to look it up on the other phone to figure out what it is. But I was trying to figure out how to, like, better buy books, you know, like, more mindfully. And I found Indie Book, which took me to bookshop.org, and I am so pleased with their selection, and they are supportive of local bookstores, so highly recommend. That is bookshop.org. And again, this is not a sponsored post. I am just a book slut. Reading is knowledge. Knowledge is power. But to go backwards from that, if you're not super into reading, I will be linking below a whole heck ton of TED Talks, because I love TED Talks. Professionals speak better than I do. They're more worth listening to, definitely. And those little bitty pieces of history. I promise you, I'm not just learning that and then being like, okay, I am woke, I know enough. I will never stop learning for the rest of my life. That I am committing to. I will never stop learning for the rest of my life. I will never stop. And if I ever do stop, then I'm stupid and I don't deserve to be here. Because that's shameful. That took like a dark turn. But my main point is there's so much more that we can all be doing, whether it's something small like a retweet or a signal boost or a signing of a petition, which those aren't small things. Everything makes a difference. You put enough drops of water in a cup and eventually it's full. It takes some time. It takes some collective effort and patience, but then it's full. And I believe as a collective humanity, if the time is ever, it is fucking now. I want to personally continue to learn how to do more, to be better, to do my best, to do even better, to be continuously educating myself, to be continuously aware of not just the state of my country, but the state of the world, and not shut the fuck up. It's like not telling the truth is, not telling part of the truth is a lie of omission, and I have essentially lived now a professional life of omission. Like, I have put my brand before my opinions and feelings always, and that's not right. And I'm not doing that anymore. What I am going to do is use my platform and platforms in every positive way possible to continue to propagate change, say that 5 times fast, and continue to just keep doing everything that I can. Burnout is real, but so is the possibility of all of this fizzling out because the media coverage has already stopped. And we can't fucking let that happen. So without further ado, I will wish you all the best to stay safe, be careful, be mindful, be aware, and most of all, do your best. I love you. My name is Serena, and I will be here as long as you guys will put up with me. And on to my bullshit. So what has been going on in the big wide world of Serena? I love how I'm starting this with what makes me the most emotional instead of what really the most important things going on in my life are. My tomato plants, may they rest in peace, are resting in peace because I got them a little dry and sad, and then I overwatered them to compensate, totally drowned them, which I'm trying not to be upset about, like being a plant killer, but trying to just keep in mind, like, okay, it can just go into the compost pile, it's going to be okay. But as you can see, everyone else is doing phenomenally who's new here, and I have a potter that I've set aside outdoors that I'm not quite sure, but I think I'd like to plant at least 3 of my bamboos together and start to really propagate them upward in that way. But I'm still debating where a good location for it would be, where the cats won't get into it, because that would be something that would be too big to go in my dog cage planter holder. This is really the first time I've been able to talk to you guys all week, and it's Sunday. It's Sunday. That's the only day I really have to talk about. I have been taking antibiotics. I stopped those on Thursday because I had ovarian cysts that burst and caused an infection inside of me in my pelvis. It was very uncomfortable, to say the least. And now I believe, going forward from that, I have mono again. Which, something I never knew is, once you have mono once, it's in your body forever. You're really unlikely to ever get it again. But it derives from the Epstein-Barr virus, to my understanding, from what I've read, and that's something that stays in your body for forever. So if you have an immune system lowering, so like I had the infection and the antibiotics together, that can trigger you to get mono again. And I've spent most of my week sweating and freezing and sleeping and just feeling like I've gotten the shit beat out of me on a daily basis on my kitchen floor and bathroom floor. Like, oh my goodness. No, my goodness. It's been something else. But my veterinarian is finally open again. Partially unrelated, but totally unrelated. So come hell or high water, Chong and, Chauncey are going to go in for allergy shots this week because they desperately need it. And I actually ended up talking to my dad Saturday, I think. I was going to ask him about when I had mono when I was a teenager, but we didn't quite get to that conversation because we instead had the conversation of stuff that's going on with him, because he has asthma. So whenever I talk to him lately, which is not often because we're not on the best of terms, but he has asthma really bad. So I've been trying to check in throughout the virus of hey, just wanted to call and make sure you're breathing all right. But he's actually going through a lot of issues breathing right now. He's had, I guess, 2 COVID tests, negative for that, but his asthma symptoms are out of control right now. His inhaler is only working half the time, and I'm like, Dad, you need to advocate for a nebulizer. You need this. So I'm kind of worrying about him, but I've kind of also made a background plan that I'm going to bring up to him of not really any help that I'm going to push on him, but I'm going to gently suggest that maybe it would be an okay choice if I stepped in here and there with a couple of things, once a month, and do groceries for him so he's not walking around in the store potentially winding himself or getting into other germs. My dad is super healthy and super fit. He's taken excellent care of himself, even though he's in his 60s now. I would not call him old at all. He is extremely capable. It's not like he's out of shape and would get winded walking around the grocery store, but his asthma is that bad right now where if we can eliminate that, that would be awesome. So I have a funny story, and then that's really all I have to share of my shit for the week. I'm trying to keep my shit really short because, yes, this is my vlog, but I am not the center of the universe, number one, and I am not the center of the universe right now, certainly. So I'm trying to keep my shit short, concise, together, and as is, and will probably be the same narration roughly as what my description ends up being for my video. But real quick, funny story. God, I love my grandfather. And I know tooth pain is uncomfortable. I know it is. Like, it hurts your neck, it hurts your head, it hurts your jaw, it makes it hard to breathe. Like, when you need to go to a dentist, you need to go to a dentist. But sometimes you can just wait a little bit, you know? Like, chew on the other side of your mouth and do your best. So, everyone told my grandpa that if he left his assisted living apartment, that when he came back, he would have to be quarantined for 2 weeks. Everyone explained this to him. So what does he do? He still goes to the dentist. He comes back. And then he doesn't understand why they're quarantining him for 2 weeks. And maybe this doesn't sound funny, but mind you, my grandpa still has his wits about him. He's totally mentally there for being 95, 96 years old, but he is stubborn as shit, and he believes he is like the man god of the world and can do no wrong and doesn't have to listen to anyone else or play by anyone else's rules. Like, typical old man born in the 1920s. I love him so much, but he was so pissed, oh my god. And when we talked on the phone after he got out of quarantine, it's like, never gonna believe this shit, blah blah blah. And then he ends the story with, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go back to the dentist. And it was everything I could do to just not, oh my fucking god, grandpa, stay yo ass at home. Just hold off. You don't need to go to the dentist right now. You're going to get quarantined again. Well, they already did it once, so no, grandpa, you're going to get quarantined again. I guarantee it. Please, just trust me. So on that note, I wish you all the most laughs possible for this wild Sunday in our wild world. And again, I will just remind us all that we can always do our best to be our best, and even when we feel like we are doing our best, we can always reevaluate ourselves as to how can I do better, where can I do better, what can I do better, and even look at ourselves and think, okay, well, that was good, but maybe I can do it a little different and be a little bit more mindful. And there's never anything wrong with admitting you are wrong, have been wrong, being suggested that something is not quite correct or is off kilter or is not representative of a voice you're trying to speak from. Please, 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 please be willing to accept that constructive criticism. Don't take no shit from anyone. Don't let anyone tell you that you're wrong for speaking up for how you feel when it comes to equal rights in our country, when it comes to ending systemic racism, when it comes to defunding the police, when it comes to what's the word I'm looking for? Diversifying our states and our country as a whole to better serve our nation in terms of where, say for instance, police aren't being called for mental health home check. I mean, that's there. I can't imagine there is any part of that interaction that involves someone that is trained in the mental health care field. Like, I can understand paramedic, firefighter, yes, like you're in the medical field, but there's no cop, I'm sorry, but there's no cop that's a psychologist. Otherwise, that cop would be a psychologist, not a cop. There's there's a shit ton of change that needs to happen in our world, and I don't know how to go about propagating it, and it's not my job to go about propagating it, but it is within, I believe, within my rights. I believe the Constitution states is within my rights, and I believe that also there is no higher power other than myself and what I think is right, and I think standing up and saying, this is wrong, this is how it should be, this is how it shouldn't be, is fair. But I think part of how that is fair is to have that as a conversation, to say, I don't think this is right, I don't think this is how anything should be, nothing should have ever continued or escalated this far, and have a conversation, which is what is not happening in any parts of our government, to my knowledge, right now. It's just damage control, and I am starting to see everything disappear from my timeline, and it's fucking sad, man. It's not even been, what, 25th to, I don't know days in the month, 25th to the 5th, say 10 days, to, I think today is like the 14th or 15th, so like that many days, and we're all just gonna let it go. Like, I'm upset with myself for any other time there's ever been a sadness or an injustice or a loss of a life in this world, and I've seen every post and maybe retweeted a couple, but never really said shit and didn't really elaborate on it or push harder for, hey, this really needs to be noticed. And I'm not gonna act like I'm a fucking messiah, but I'm one person, and if there is 100 million one persons in the world, if there's even 10 one persons in the world that can stand up for what's right, that can look at the world from an objective but empathetic point of view, to look at our nation and say, what the fuck have we done? Scratch it, start over. I know it's not that easy, but it can't be that hard. And I'm just gonna end this vlog right here. I love you all so fucking much. Please stay so fucking safe. Please be as careful as you can out in the world. Please know your rights. Please, if you have a personal family lawyer and you are going to protest, if you are advocating on social media, if you are involved in any way, get your bases covered. Make sure your phone is secure before you go to a protest. Be very careful with that. There's resources all over YouTube, all over Google to find ways to lock, wipe, back up, lock your SIM, everything with your phone, remove facial recognition, everything in that way. Between iPhones, Androids, etc. forward, do every single thing that you can to keep yourself safe, and just be the best possible person you can be. If you can't be out protesting, if you have terrible social anxiety, if you have autoimmune disease, if you don't feel well, if you, I mean, the biggest thing right now is we're seeing spikes in coronavirus, so we really need to be careful going to protests and not wearing masks and not using hand sanitizer, stopping to wash hands whenever possible. Like, these things are extremely important to remember, and we have to consider the fact that the rise in cases may or may not be attributable to the protesting that has been going on. I mean, so many states have opened their stay-at-home orders or whatever the fuck it's called, so I don't believe there's any concrete proof of this, that, or the other with anything that's saying, oh, this is spiking because protests. And I'm not a scientist. I don't work in a lab. I don't know these things for sure. So take my word with a grain of salt. That's just how I feel. But just please be mindful that the media is going to up-talk that and down-talk, meaning just not talk about any protests at all, because right now even my Twitter timeline is almost back to normal, and that makes me sad. And I don't believe in cancel culture, and I guess I wasn't finished with my vlog. I'm sorry. I don't believe in cancel culture, and I understand survival sex work, being a sex worker myself. However, I don't understand not being able to at least throw something on social media, like at least once a day. And I have lost quite a few followers, but I have also unfollowed quite a few people where it's like, I'm not seeing this from you, and I don't know, I'm trying to be mindful in the way of like, okay, well, if you're not from the States, maybe I can understand why you don't feel like this is a big deal, because I knew Brexit was a big deal, but did I advocate for either side of either party? No. Did I do my best to educate myself on the situation? Yes. Did I really understand it? No. Do I honestly know if it's still going on or if it's been fixed? No, I don't know. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't know. So I really can't be horribly upset at anyone that doesn't live in the US, but anyone that I'm seeing on my timeline on Twitter or on Instagram that is in the US, and there's not but one single fucking post that Black Lives fucking matter. And it's like, fuck your shit. And I think about myself back in those times where I would make that choice of my brand is more important than whatever I would consider politics. And race is not equivalent to politics. It's not. It's equivalent to human fucking rights. It's not equivalent to politics. It should never be a part of politics. But looking at the person that I was in hindsight, I know that perspective. And it makes me sad that so many others can't adopt that perspective, which that's not my control. That's not in my control. That's not someone that I can be in charge of. It's not my place to call them out. It's not my place to say anything to them directly. It's not my place to parent anyone. We're all grown-ups here. But I think it speaks very highly of anyone to say nothing at all. And that is where I will end my vlog for today. I love you. I love you. I love you. And we will touch base next weekend.